This is the Rutherford Magazine Show with host Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, listen to the Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a big show tonight. Got some lovely ladies in the booth here. Ladies, how y'all doing?
Doing good.
Got Jolie Shipley, Kathy Ward, Lachelle Ricks, and we're going to be talking about recovery, changing lives, positively impacting our community. Gives me hope when I see lovely ladies like y'all who have a heart for the community and care, because I don't see that every day, and I'm an elected official. You would think I see that everywhere I go, but I don't see it. The silence is deafening. Jolie Shipley Millette, how you doing?
I'm good. Jolie Shipley, you can just call me that. That's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
You did a good job of the day when I seen you. You want to talk about the meeting I seen you at?
I presented the Rutherford Recovery Fest to the We Care meeting that is held, quarterly that they have those? Yeah. So it was just kind of like a last minute, hey, can you come give this presentation? I had my son that's going into kindergarten with me, and he ate all the snacks, had a really good time, and really just getting the word out there about Recovery Fest. Yeah.
Kathy, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, how's your husband doing?
He's great.
Chuck Ward. Yeah. Does he listen?
He probably is.
Hey, Chuck, how you doing? Yeah. Well, Kathy, tell us a little bit about what you do and why you're involved, why you even care about this issue.
Sure. Well, I currently am the assistant director at Doors of Hope in Rutherford County, and working there also under supervision as a LADAC. Doors of Hope is a recovery program here in Rutherford County for women.
Yeah.
And we have a full 12-month program there. It's great for women coming out of incarceration, those who are in addiction, homelessness. That's mainly what our mission is to help those women, empower those women to do better.
Yeah, thanks. Lachelle, tell us about what you do and why you care about this issue.
Well, I'm the current director of the Rutherford County Recovery Courts. We cover the DUIs, drug court, mental health court, and veterans courts. And I do this because I just have a heart for this population. I always have. I've been doing it for about 6 years, starting as a case manager, and then last year moved into the director position. There's so much need for it in this community.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no lack of participants that we have in any of our programs.
I know when I was a younger county commissioner, at that time, I'll be honest, I was the only one to talk about addiction. I know it sounds like, oh, that's crazy, Mike. There's no way you're the only one. Yeah. Now, that's been 14, 15 years ago. Now we have a lot of champions up there now. Craig Harris always stands out as someone, Pettis Reed and others that do champion this issue, investing in folks' lives. And other day, I was meeting with legal. We've got special session starts tomorrow, which I kind of dread, to be honest with you. And I was talking to... who's the guy with Hustle Recovery? In fact, I thought he might call in tonight.
Troy Sandifer.
Yeah, Troy. And I've got this psych bed bill, which it's really requiring the hospitals to update their portal where there's available beds throughout the state. And I've got pushback from the hospital association, but in all fairness to them, there's a real need for healthcare workers and psych nurses. It's hard to get people to work in that field. But he had heard about the bills somehow, and I don't know if it was you or somebody had brought it up at one of the meetings, and he called me, asked if I could run legislation on it. Well, this was interesting. The young female attorney, she's new, and we're talking. So I don't know if we want to run this bill. We need to get with the departments and find out what else. Make sure everybody's on board, because it's hard to get something done if you don't have a good synchronicity and energy of everyone going forward. And the young attorney, she's just 30, and And I didn't want to keep her. I said, well, ma'am, we're good if you need to run on because she's busy. She said, well, let me know where you're at with this because I want to help. And I said, well, that's interesting because I don't usually hear that from attorneys, with all due respect to attorneys. And she said, but I want to help. And I said, well, why do you want to help? I was just curious. It piqued my interest. She said, well, I've got a brother that's had problems. So many of us, have had brothers. I've had a brother, sadly, he passed away a year and a half ago. Had to go identify his body. It's not a happy thing want to do. And, so it's affected so many lives. And you're almost got to be an orphan if you're not affected. You know what I mean?
And the connection with Troy and Hustle Recovery, myself and Will Taylor, we are on their board of directors.
Will called me the other day about it.
So Troy has so many great ideas. Being a person in recovery himself, their whole team, and then myself and Will are all certified peer recovery specialists. It's just like, here's what our vision, Troy's vision, everyone's vision is. It's just getting the funding to make it happen. Yeah. And now with the opioid money coming in, it gives us greater opportunity to do those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's pretty passionate, I could tell.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what you need to get things done.
Right. Yeah, recovery does. Addiction touches everybody's lives. There's not anybody that can't say they haven't been touched by addiction in some way, shape, or form. So it's good to have as many people out there that have been affected by it, which is everyone, to join on board and help.
Yes. Sometimes I wonder because I'm seeing a lot of strange signs. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a guy just set up camp right out here in front of the station, just homeless. And I'm assuming there's addiction issues there, mental health. I've never seen anybody just set up a little homeless camp in front of this. You get in the station, but you couldn't get in the other building next door. The other day, my wife and I were going to, what's that called? Dollar Tree, or $1.25 tree because they went up. And we were going in and I waited on her, and there was two guys, separate guys, just laying around. And Laverne and Smyrna were going to bargain hunt, and there was a girl and a guy, looked like they're in their mid-20s, just laying there. And, I grew up in Smyrna, born at Seward Air Force Base, and, man, I'm starting to see these signs, and it really alarms me. I think I heard gunshots about 1:15 this morning. I've never heard that. Yeah. It got me up. It sounded like it was a couple blocks away. But sometimes I'm wondering if we we should have been hitting this stuff 10 years earlier. Talk about your Recovery Fest and that seems like it's so successful, and celebrate recovery and your church and y'all's involvement.
So I started with Family Worship Center. That's my church. Recovery for me is personal. And so myself and Miss Rhonda, she was named the recovery director. I immediately went and told her, I'm very interested in serving. And then fast forward 4 years, we are recovery friendly, which is certified by the state. So we've been trauma informed. We've been trained on ACEs. We collaborate, and we're a model church for other churches in the area to be certified. Our pastors there are very open to assisting the recovery community. So my involvement, that's really how I got started in doing the Recovery Fest committee, and then went over to Recovery Court for about 6 months, and actually how I met Shelly and Kathy. And then I'm full-time with Volunteer now. So with Recovery Fest, this year is my second year as the event chair. And so we have a new venue this year because we're growing, which is a good thing. And so it is September the 16th from 10 a.m. to 2. And we're going to be at the Lane Agri Park this year. And we are fully on social media, Rutherford Recovery Fest on Facebook, and also Rutherford Recovery Fest at gmail.com. Anybody can email in. We're going to start asking some of the community to become involved. And so
a lot of churches stepping up.
I can't say a lot.
But
one of our goals is to educate the community to break the stigma.
Yeah.
And I think that within the church, that's one of the hardest things to do is breaking the stigma.
Yeah.
Growing up as, a pastor's kid.
Well, y'all are known for trouble, aren't you?
We are, yes,
Mr.
and I fully
Mayhem.
accepted that role.
Yeah.
But thankful, I have the foundation there.
Yes.
And
Amen.
in a lot of the areas that you go to, you can't really speak Jesus out. But thankfully, I'm able to. I teach my kids that.
Now, I'm not trying to disagree with you, but you say, back up and just repeat what you just said.
Okay, I don't
You can't that you can't speak the name of Jesus, or you don't feel like you can.
In certain positions and roles, it's politically incorrect.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
A lot of people within recovery have been hurt by the church, and I always tell my daughter, some people will know Jesus by the light that you shine.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily have to.
And you got a bright light. Doesn't she have a bright light, y'all? Man, she's got a glow about her. I mean, you really do.
Thank you.
I was telling my wife about you today, so she's just got a beautiful spirit about her,
Well,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. No, that's fine. My children are affected directly.
Yes.
I'm a single mom, and we pray for
Yes.
their father. However, we have to move on, and I continue to educate them. Roxy is going to be singing on Overdose Awareness Day with Shonda Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
And she's going to be singing I Speak Jesus.
Amen.
And so, she has sang the goodness of God in front of 8 different places. And it's really her story. I can't relate to her because I had a father who has been there.
Yeah.
But, I tell her there's going to be a little girl one day that's going to need you to let them know how you got through.
Yes.
And then having my 5-year-old son too, lots of questions there, but
Well, we got a caller. Before we go to this caller, I want to give an announcement. I don't know if y'all know this. I have a state house plate. You see these house plates. It's got a number on there. Usually it's a senator or representative's district. Well, mine's 357. Well, 357 is Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean onto your own understanding. But I'm going to auction it off. And so I'm ending the bidding at 5:30 live on this show. So I may have a few people listen. If anybody wants to bid on it, I think the high bid right now is $600. That's by, I think, Mark Brassfield, the owner of the Safe House. Marty Luffman's been a high bidder. Chris Rowland, Kim Epps, Commissioner Councilman Steve Sullivan, and GOP Chairman Austin Maxwell has been a high bidder, and also I don't know if y'all remember George Smith, the first African-American doctor to be allowed doctor privileges in Rutherford County. I think his son was one of the bidders. So I want to thank everybody who's bid. But at 5:30, I'm going to end this bad boy, and I'm going to take the money. I'm going to donate it. It's Jared Wayne Smith. I guess the son of the late Dr. Smith. Many people knew Dr. Smith. But the proceeds is going to go to Smyrna West Alternative School for critical thinking skills, the game of chess, try to incentivize teachers. If they will teach these kids, get them involved, maybe use it for a pizza party or whatever. So if anybody wants to bid, you can look on my Facebook page under Michael Sparks for that Tennessee House Plate 357. Or they could text me 615-525-3198. But what I'm asking is the caller to call in, whoever wins, to call in at 5:31 and talk about it. I'm hoping that I got a feeling Mark Brassfield, he's kind of passionate about this. Marty Luffman, I think he's a little too tight right now. I think he don't want to spend no money. But anyways, Marty's probably listening. But I know we've got a caller. Caller, go ahead. Hey, caller. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I think these ladies know who you are. Tell them your name.
This is Troy Sanderson with Hustle Recovery. I know one of the ladies there. You got my superstar there with you, Miss Joe.
Yeah, she is a superstar. How you doing, Troy?
I'm doing good, man. Just spent the weekend with my kids and just got done with a staff meeting. Just trying to figure out how to save some more lives, man.
Yep. Now you were telling me some stats of folks that's come through your recovery program. It was pretty impressive. What was that number you gave me?
Well, we do a few different things. I think the numbers I was giving you has to do with our navigation model. Hustle Recovery works with about 40 or 50 different treatment facilities in 3 different states. So in the last 2 years since we started tracking everything we did, we didn't track anything in the first year because we didn't expect it to get this big, but we've been able to navigate about 2,800 people, a little more than 2,800 people into treatment in the last 2 years.
Wow. That's statewide.
Yes, sir, statewide.
Yeah. Y'all just stay in Tennessee, or do y'all go into Kentucky or Alabama?
Some of the treatment facilities that we work with are in Kentucky or in Alabama. But mostly we try to keep everybody in state unless it's just a situation where they can't be or there's not a bed available.
Yes.
Which we run into quite often, which is why we're working with Rutherford County's Embankment Council to do a new project that we piloted called low barrier respite housing for people with SUD. So what that does for us is instead of us having to wait on a bed to become available, now Hustle Recovery has the ability to pick people up in Rutherford County immediately, go ahead and house the people, be sure that they get 3 meals a day, and then we can do the client care coordination from that house, from that location. So we have 10 beds currently available for that.
Yes. So the what you called me about, explain why you think that's important to kind of piggyback off that what I call psych bed bill. I shared that bill with the governor. Like I think I shared with you, we've got pushback from the hospitals, psych hospitals, but they all agree there's a need, there's a lack of staffing, so we need to try to address that. But we're going to work on that over the next few weeks, few months for next session. But tell listeners why that issue is important to you.
Well, it just needs to be easier to find these treatment beds. Especially for our caseworkers, for moms and dads who are looking for a place that they can put their children. And just a man beside here just struggling that wants to just kind of look it up and do it himself. If we had a bed registry, we already have some good directories out there, but it would be very helpful if we knew how many beds were available at these facilities. That way we're not spending hours on the phone calling place after place, because unfortunately, with the nature of the drugs out there today, especially with fentanyl, sometimes we don't have hours. These people are playing Russian roulette every time they use. So if we had some kind of statewide bed registry where we were able to immediately not only see the open beds and treatment centers, but also in our halfway houses or respite beds, or like you guys have already got going with our mental health beds, just where it's easily accessible to just a common man out here, and for our navigators and for our caseworkers, our law enforcement people, and our people in the hospitals to be able to just pull this up and at a quick glance say, hey, this is where these beds are available at. That way we can move these people into treatment a lot quicker.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, working in, especially trying to find with recovery courts and with programs like mine, a lot of times we need people to get into detox programs, and co-occurring disorders are, prevalent with addictions. So it's hard to find those beds. And if we need somebody to be stabilized prior to coming into a long-term program, we don't have any way of doing that besides just having our caseworkers spend hours sometimes searching for places.
We were, the gentleman, Elliot Pensley, is really an expert in this area. Elliot. I think, in fact, Troy, I think y'all even knew each other, didn't you? You knew Elliot.
Yes, sir. I've run into Mr. Elliott quite a bit here.
Yeah, he's been on the radio with us a few times. Several times. He's the one that asked me to carry this piece of legislation, and I talk about God wink moments. I know a lot of people may not believe. I mean, y'all believe. Jackson here probably doesn't believe. Just to be straight up about it, Jackson probably. I'm serious. He probably doesn't believe. But here's what's so cool. Trey Hargett and I, who's Secretary of State, went to Stonecrest Hospital just as a tour in the community. We went to Ingram Book Companies, SRM Concrete, just visited a lot of folks back in October. And the CEO tells us personally, he said, we've added 16 beds out here at the ER. Every one of them's full. Mental health issues. Well, some of that's addiction also. They may not like me sharing this on the radio, but I'm going to share it because it's so important. They said they had a patient kick a nurse. I won't say what happened. really sad. I'm surprised it never made in the media. And he said, Mike, we need some relief. Next thing you know, I get asked to carry this bill, which is helping the ERs, which is helping placement. Next thing you know, I got pushback from the hospitals. I'm like, man, this is strange. You're talking about some irony. Here, this guy's asking for relief. All of a sudden, boom, we got a piece of legislation that's going to help offer relief. And all of a sudden, boom, that same industry is blocking the access. And I'm like, man, this is why I feel like this is a mission for me and y'all. So what Troy, I guess, and Will's saying that this could offer some relief, but man, we're having such labor shortages, man. I mean, big time. I had a guy call me yesterday, Danny Victor. I don't think he'd mind me sharing it. He said, man, my dad's in a nursing home. He said it was going to take hours before he got access to his medicine. He said, man, we just took him out. I said, man, you're better off because there's such a shortage. I went to see my sister last night. Fortunately, she's a nurse now. Fortunately, they were there, good caregivers. But man, long term, it worries me because I'm getting up there in age. I mean, I may be in that nursing home one day. Troy Jackson's looking for me to take a quick break. Troy, you wanna hang on the air for a few minutes and come back with us?
Sure.
Okay, just hold on. Let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right, we're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Just got a text. I got a bid right here for $1,000 from Chris Rowland. Chris, thank you for stepping up, brother. It means a lot. If Marty Luppin's listening, Marty, you're outbid. Mark Brassfield, you're outbid. If you want to raise it, text me, 615-525-3198. 100% of those proceeds will go to Smyrna West Alternative School, where I could have wound up as a young fella when I was a kid. Many of us guys could have wound up in there, So we got to reach these young people, man. We have got to reach. Tennessee is one of the high states for violent crime now. You'd have never thought Tennessee, but it is. And this thing about it, our prison budget's doubled since I was elected in 2010. It's increased $600 million. That's $1.2 billion. So my logic is, why not invest in counselors? Why not invest in having police that can talk to these young people to build relationships? I get pushback on that. It makes me want to cuss on the air, which I'm not. I know Bart's probably listening. Don't worry, Bart. I'm not going to cuss on the radio. Doesn't that make you want to cuss, though?
I do know that the Commissioner Harris is pushing for the abatement money to be used for a youth program in the schools, and I think that's a great cause.
Yeah, you got to have passion, and Craig's passionate about it. When you're touched personally, money don't mean nothing.
For sure.
I've seen the problem. I mean, when I had to identify my own brother who passed away, it was overdose, and then my other brother was the top FBI agent in the nation. And now he would be mad if he heard me brag on him. He's undercover, and I'm real proud of him. But I was telling the governor I had one brother that passed, and one brother was the top FBI agent in the nation. I mean, how does that? How do you explain that? And it affects everybody. But thank you, Chris. So my countdown. What is it? What's the time? I got 4 more minutes. If anybody wants to beat Chris Rowland's $1,000 bid, maybe Troy with Hustle Recovery, maybe he wants to bid on my 357 house plate. I'm hoping we can get Troy back on the air if Jackson gets him on the air. I know he's still holding. While we're going to click over. You were wanting to talk about y'all's event that's coming up.
Yeah, sure. Well, we do have a good fundraiser coming up in September 28th. We have what we call our Firefly Gala. Okay. And that is where we have just a night to just show everybody in the community what Doors of Hope is about and celebrate some of our successes. And
where's that going to be?
It's out at Copper Ridge.
Copper Ridge. Where's that at?
Yeah, it's out off of
is it Compton?
Compton
Is it
Road.
near Copper Ridge Road? What's the name of the song? What's the name of the song?
Yeah.
We made that one of the official state songs this year.
Probably
Copperhead Road or something.
Betty Ford. Is it off of
Betty
Betty
Ford?
Oh, okay.
Out
there.
Or maybe Betty Ford or
Over
somewhere
there.
right there in that area.
Let's get Troy back in here if we can. Troy, you there?
I'm here, buddy.
Thank you, man, for us rambling on. Hey, you interested in bidding $1,001 for a Tennessee State house plate that says 357 on it?
You're talking to the CEO of a poor nonprofit that doesn't get any funding.
Okay. We're going to try to help you on that. We're going to try to help you. It just needs some more communication.
That's good, buddy.
But yeah, that money's going to go to Smyrna West Alternative School to help some troubled youth. We're trying to improve the critical thinking. Think before you act. Rob Mitchell's been leading that effort. We're asking for $350,000 this year. We weren't able to get it, but we're going to work on it again. And the wheels of government, Troy, turn slowly. So I guarantee you, Craig Harris probably listening right now. He'll agree. Pettis Reed will agree. Joe Carl will agree. And the former mayor, Bill Ketchum, will tell you, the wheels of government turn slowly.
Sure.
Let me just say, Craig Harris is another superstar in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I've never met any politician that's as passionate as he is about recovery.
Sure.
We really appreciate it.
Yes. Well, my countdown, what time is it? I don't want to be mad at me because, auctions, I've seen people get upset when they were.
2 more minutes.
They thought they were the high bidder and somebody else got the high bidder. But I'm hoping if he is the high bidder, Chris, if you're listening, I want you to call in and talk about why this matters to you, why you're willing to come off $1,000, which you could use for something else. And I think it's an important cause. And there's not another one like it out there, so I got one more minute. So we're counting down. Mark Brassfield, you need to text me if you're gonna bump bid up. Marty Lupp, and y'all text me.
Can I mention a couple of community events that the Recovery
Yes,
Court is
go ahead,
doing?
Michelle.
On August the 24th, we are going to have our reentry simulator. It's going to be in the community where folks can come and see what it's like for people getting out of jail to go through the process. So that would be a good event from 5 to 7. On August 31st, we are partnering with the DRC, the Day Reporting Center, to do an overdose awareness day from 9 to 1 in their parking lot. Our participants, their participants, anybody in the community who wants to be involved in that can also show up. There'll be resources, there'll be food. We're going to do a walk. And then the Recovery Court Foundation Board is hosting the first annual fundraising event at the Bell Meadows Farm on October the 14th. So we would love to have some folks come out and donate and support that event as well.
Y'all come up with a name yet? What you wanna call it?
No, we have not got a name officially yet, so I'm not going to throw it out there, but invitations will be going out soon.
Yes. How many, as far as the church, how many years y'all been doing that over there?
This is our 4th year.
4th?
And we've referred over 1,000 people either to treatment or different facilities within Middle Tennessee. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I know the sheriff and Chief Lowry seem to be been very supportive.
Yeah.
You know that. Well, y'all had when I was there last year. How many people came through? Several folks.
Yeah, it was really hard for us to have a count, which this year we have data, people coming in, so we can know a more accurate number. But with the people in and out, it's over 500 to 600.
Yes.
I've heard 1,000, but between 500 and 1,000, I would say.
Yes.
And so with our bigger venue this year, our goal is always to grow and expand. And then, of course, the venue that we have this year is all covered. So we don't have to run the risk in having a flood out like we did 3 years ago. It all ended up working out. It usually does. But yeah, Family Worship Center, like I said, always very supportive with our pastors and things. They are always behind whatever crazy ideas that Rhonda and I have. So
God uses crazy.
Amen.
He really does.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah. And so you can help with a CPRS, Certified Peer Recovery Specialist, to have some higher pay, because I would do it full time if it paid the bills.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Well, that's what I like about folks like Troy that's went through this stuff, that it builds that conviction when you've seen loss of loved ones and
absolutely
and friends. Troy, before we you had anything else you wanted to add?
No, man, just that there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work out y'all's way, and I just really appreciate the way people have took a chance on me and my organization, the way that you guys have embraced our mission, and just the things that's happening around Rutherford County. I've never met, I work all over the state, and I got to tell you, it's probably, y'all have some of the most passionate people I've ever met for recovery. And we just really appreciate y'all, man, and it's just touching to know that we have the support that we have out there, and that we're able to touch as many lives as we are in that county. So.
Yes.
And that's not possible without the people that we have that back us. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially you, Miss Jolie.
Oh, y'all are just building my head up tonight. Thank you. Superstar status over here.
That's right.
Do y'all know? Did I ask you if you knew Justin Bashir? Do you know Justin? Y'all know Justin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went to Probation Pro with him the other day, and they voted for a full pardon for him.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of, see, we're having such a labor shortage. There's so many people that could go back to work that, he got in trouble when he was 17, 18 years old. This is why I'm saying you got to educate elected officials and, and just get them to understand that. I mean, that dude is a rock star, man. He's the one that I wrote that story, the Troy Ross story. He's the one that led Troy to the Lord, which Troy was already a believer. But if you read that story I wrote, it's called the Troy Ross story. Just Google it, you'll see it. He's had calls from 20 different states on that. But Justin, I guarantee you, Justin's going to change lives out there. He's already doing it now. But you know what's sad? The state let him take 4 foster kids, but he couldn't coach his own son's ball team. Man, if that's not jacked up, I don't know what is. I mean, that is just, that's government for you. I've been saying government's broken. It is broken. You'd never run a McDonald's like I see government get ran. What do you think about that?
Well, I think really looking at that actually gives us a great segue into what Lachelle and I are doing with Doors of Hope and Recovery Court, and how the county is allowing a lot of those people that are incarcerated to come out into our programs that will put them back to work, that will put them back in the community, but will have them paying taxes and learning about their selves and the skills that they need to learn to get back on their feet. So both of our programs go into the jails, and we do work with the women and men in the jails. We are constantly giving them evidence-based training, working with them on their recovery skills, helping them to learn how to be effective community people so that they can come out and live these lives that people are telling them that they can't.
Yes. How much of that, I know we've, Jolie and I've talked about this, how much is that trauma growing up, especially in the area of sexual trauma among females, when that correlates to addiction, it seems like?
Well, we just finished a Victims of Crimes Act grant, and we did that for over 2 years, and everyone that we served in our pre-release program were also would identify as a victim of a crime. So that trauma is real in all of their lives. So
Yes.
most everyone that we work with, have a trauma related incident, and if they haven't had it as a child or as a young adult, they've created trauma in their lives by their addiction and the places that they've put themselves through that addiction.
Yes. We're at Celebrate Recovery. Do they go into some of that kind of discussion?
Celebrate Recovery is a nationwide faith-based recovery program. Excellent. They have their own literature, and honestly, I went through Celebrate Recovery and their year-long STEP study back in 2011 when I was in DUI court. So of course, we've just learned maybe just not learned, but the trauma aspect and ACEs is coming, so prevalent now, that when you look back over the years, you can see, it makes sense. Those who have, experienced trauma, and there's a big T trauma and a little T trauma. Most of my trauma I inflicted on myself by some of the choices that I made. But, I'm here to say that it doesn't matter. Anyone can live a life of recovery. You have to be willing, and you have to put the work in, and you have to find your community, because until you find a belonging, I feel people would continue to struggle, and that's really what helped me through is my church and my community and the people that I surround myself with that are educated on addiction. I do have personal experience with myself, and even if you don't, you've been touched by somebody who have, and if you haven't yet, you will.
Absolutely.
And it just being informed and educated. A lot of stigma and things is just ignorance.
Yeah. I had Sally Walls was a former police chief in Smyrna, man, and I often thought how many lives she's touched and directed. A lot of us young guys back in the day would have gotten some trouble if we didn't have good mentors there, with her. And she was the first female chief in the state of Tennessee. Got to preach her funeral. It was really, really a blessing. They own the Omni Hut, if you remember the Omni Hut, Major Walls, and just really good to have folks in our lives. Do y'all that can help direct us like that? One of the areas it seems that we've got to really hit on is mentors to these young people, not just young, but even older. Just that talking about peer support,
Yeah, and we just had our first all-inclusive peer conference. So there is now young adult peer support for ages 18 to 30 who can, I work for volunteer behavioral health, and I work with adolescents who have psychosis. We are a whole team, and the peer support person on our team is of that age. I do supported education and employment, which means I help them get jobs or education, bringing them back into the workforce. But, all areas are important. And the new young adult peer is fairly new, but there's also family support peer now, and all of them are great. Yeah. I think as we continue to educate the community, hopefully people will start to be more involved.
It just, the things that I'm seeing in our society, it really alarms. I've been saying this country needs a revival, and I would think an atheist would agree with that. You ever thought about that? Kind of hard to believe an atheist would agree need a revival. We're working on revival in Laverne. Grace Church, September 23rd. We've got John DeBerry. He marched with Dr. King as a young man. 26-year lawmaker. The Democrat Party took him off the ballot so he couldn't run. True story. You'll never hear about it in the mainstream media because it simply doesn't fit the narrative. But he's going to come in and speak. But God had a plan for his life. What they meant for evil, God meant for good. He was making like $45,000-$50,000 when they kicked him off the ballot. Governor Bill Lee hired him. He's the advisor to the governor, making $175,000. So I asked him. I said, "Have you talked to any of the people that come against you?" It was about a year or two ago. I said, "Have you talked to him?" He goes, "No, Mike." I said, "Well, doesn't the Bible say something about you knock the hell out of your, the people that come against you, like that with kindness?" He goes, "Well, Mike, it really doesn't say it that way, but my mom always told me, kindness and forgiveness, you're reaping, heaps of coal on their head." It's kind of interesting that scripture even exists, but John is just such a great guy. But he's going to be there. That'll be Saturday. If anybody's interested in getting involved, just contact me or Pastor Randy Berg. But am I crazy for saying this country needs a revival?
Nope.
No. It definitely needs change.
That's for sure.
Change is the only thing that's going to do any good in this country right now. We've got to educate. I think Jolie hit it on the head. We've got to educate people on what's going on and what needs to happen moving forward.
So this isn't a Republican issue or Democrat issue, is it?
No.
Not a black issue or white issue.
No.
Not a rich issue or poor issue.
No.
Not at all.
See, what gets me upset with lawmakers is that they always want to invent a bill. Like, I got a bill for you. I got a piece of legislation for you. Now, I'm proud of my legislation that hopefully gets passed. It'll be one of the largest tax cuts, that gun safety bill. $1.2 million going back to the taxpayers, and it's working. We're getting a lot of stolen guns out there on the streets. A lot of stolen guns. At 2 shootings on I-24 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine called me, Kevin Berta with Auto Recycles, Express Auto Recovery and Recycling over in Laverne, and his driver was shot at. The bullet landed in his GPS on the dash. Wow. Well, we've seen countless shootings. And what young people don't realize, man, if you pull that trigger, they ain't no going back. That's what, like the game of chess is like life. Those moves you make, those decisions you make, they have repercussions. And that'll haunt you for the rest of your life. Like here, Justin Bashir is getting a second chance. And God's going to use that dude, I promise you. But think of all them young guys that's in prison for doing something stupid. And what people don't realize is that if somebody gets a 10-year sentence, that's $300,000 of the taxpayers that we're paying. That's what I'm saying. Invest in these counselors. Invest in therapists on the front end. The next prison is $300 million in this state. $300 to $400 million. It's just crazy. Talk about maybe the drug court and recovery court and some of that and some of these awesome judges we have.
Well, yeah, we have some amazing judges who run our courts. Our drug court's run by Judge Jimmy Turner.
Yeah.
Judge Tidwell does our mental health court. Judge Lisa Aishaw does our DUI courts. Sorry. And we do have a day and an evening DUI court, which has been very helpful. Our DUI evening court is actually on a wait list because it's got so many people in it right now.
Which court is that again?
DUI
the
evening.
Okay, evening. Okay.
Yes. And then Judge McFarland does our veterans court.
Yes. I've sat through all of them. I remember Judge McFarland, a guy had gave, I guess he was being, what's the word? Not reprimanded or something.
Sanctioned.
Sanctioned. And the judge told this guy, said, you know, he's an older fella. He said he was, you've been doing good. You've been doing, and the guy said, I gave you my word, didn't I, Judge? I was like, 'cause my dad was World War II, and he said, you give somebody your word, you better keep your word. And I started clapping, and you've been the only person in the room where you're clapping. I was the only one. And then finally people started clapping, but it touched me. And the judge, he come up to me, man, I appreciate you leading that clap, you know. But it touched me because, you know, I had a father that instilled discipline and tried to instill some character. And young men need that. And society never addresses the fatherless, you know.
Well, our courts are about, you know, responsibility and accountability and structure. And a lot of folks did not have that growing up. So trying to change their mindset, trying to change those behaviors and patterns that people have had throughout their lives, it takes a while, you know. Most of our programs are 18 months long. They take a lot longer than 18 months because we're changing years and years of life.
Yes.
In a short time.
Well, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Hey Rutherford County, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What do big box, fake safes, face masks, and Joe Biden have in common? They don't work, and they promise things that isn't true. So don't get a Joe Biden level of security. Come down to the Safe House and see what a real safe looks like. Unlike most of the other safe dealers in the area, we have safes in stock ready for delivery. And at the Safe House, gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. So drop by the store or go to NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
This is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right, we're back. I was just reading my text, and it looks like what Chris Rowland's offering, he's going to match up to $1,000. So I hope I get this thing right. It looks like Mark Brassfield is the owner of the Safe House, the gun safe store, is the winner at $750, and then it looks like Chris Rowland's going to match it. So if Chris could call in or Mark could call in, and if they're listening, talk about why it's important, 615-893-1450. But that's even better. Man, that's pretty cool. Because when I started this, that's $1,500, man. When I started this, I was like, man, am I crazy? Is this going to backfire? Is the Department of Revenue going to tell me I can't do this? Because they really kind of frowned on me doing this, you know. But the wheels of government turn slowly.
But you do it
You know what I'm
anyway.
saying? I'm going to do it anyways, you know. That's that Scotch-Irish, little bit of rebel sometimes against the status quo, but because the status quo is broken.
Right.
I mean, our country is $32 trillion in debt. You know, I can get on a rant real quick, and I'm going to I can talk about PCC. If you know about the probation system that was oppressing people in this community for years. They took $1,000 from Sally Walls on her grandson. Sally's passed away now, but she told me she gave them $1,000. He was on probation, and the guy pocketed it. That a dude like that just needs an AWS whipping. I mean, don't worry about no government. Just whip that guy's tail. And that still bothers me today. If anybody knows the backstory on some of that, and let me know who it is, really just irritates me, because that was that was my mentor, to take $1,000 from the least of these.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's sad, and that existed for years in this community. Where's all the checks and balances? That's the poor. Jesus talked about that. That's why we should all care. But sadly, government they got their head in the sand and they ain't paying no attention to it. And that happened in this community. So people may not like me talking about it, but hey, where were the judges? Where were your elected officials? When you're oppressing, that's somebody's grandchild, that's somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody's cousin or father, But anyways, the $14 million lawsuit, if folks know what I'm talking about, they had in that lawsuit, and that was the company that paid the majority of it. But still, the taxpayers were out like $300,000. I don't want my taxpayers paying for knucklehead crap like that. That just it's just sickening. It makes me want to just throw up. But anyways, great news. Chris Rowland's going to match that. So that's $1,500 we got for Rob Mitchell for your critical thinking skills game of chess at Smyrna West Alternative School. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mark Brassfield, for stepping up to that. Call in if y'all listening. Kathy, you had a couple things you wanted to get into.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about actually what we are doing in Rutherford County that's really good and positive with getting people out of jail and into programs like the ones that we have. And right now, having those women and men come out into recovery court and into Doors of Hope is a great collaboration and a great effort to have all these people get the help that they actually need when they do come out of incarceration. So Doors of Hope has just received a community development block grant, and through Rutherford County, we're being allowed to double the size of one of our transitional homes, and in that will give us more like 16 beds for women to come out into. And 8 of those beds we're actually giving directly to those coming out of into the recovery court program. So they'll be coming out of incarceration, they'll be coming into the Doors of Hope transitional housing, and then we will collaborate together to give these women the wraparound services that they need in order to make them a successful in their recovery and for them to be able to sustain that. So over the 12 to 18 months that they'll be with us, we can really work intensely with these women to work on who they are as a person. And I know about with Recovery Court and us, we both have similar programs. So we've worked together to come up with a good collaborative effort to have these women work between the two of our programs and become successful on the other side of that in their sobriety.
Yes.
Yeah, so
one of the hardest things that we found in Rutherford County, especially, is women's housing. So being able to get those beds that we can bring people out faster and get these women started in treatment and recovery, I think is the best thing right now. And so we will work together. We'll make sure that these ladies get all of the case management and resources and treatment that they need to be as successful as possible.
And talking about support, like you were saying, that's what they need. They need support. Our community really, it does have a very strong recovery support right now. It's a collaborative effort between lots of different entities, AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery. Recovery Fest brings a lot of those different transitional housing programs together, and programs like ours. And so I feel like right now Rutherford County is digging into their recovery community and really seeing that it's successful as much as support as we get. So the more support that we have around these individuals, the better they are and the more they can give back to Rutherford County.
Yes. What about employment opportunities?
Yeah,
y'all try to help that as well, don't you?
For sure. And I'll let Shelley tell you a little bit more about what they do. Our program does offer job readiness skills. We do resume training. We have a lot of different therapies that go on during our first 30 to 45 days. Our women basically do what's kind of an IOP. They see a mental health counselor. They have a CPRS. They attend AA, NA meetings. We have lots of therapists that come in. We have music therapy. We have yoga. We have lots of.
So you think that's music therapy is important?
Oh, absolutely, it's important. Yeah. We have a music therapist that comes in once a week, and we'll talk through lyrics, and we'll talk through what music does to the body and how it can either be detrimental by what you're listening to and putting into your mind and your body, or it can be super uplifting and helpful for that. So the women love it. We do lots of those types of things.
We were at Trust Point the other day, talking about that psych bed bill that I've got, and they do have a big time shortage of nurses over there. And the lady talked about, and I really appreciated her recognizing the custodian as like employee of the month, but they said the custodian, not just a custodian, he can talk with patients, he can help de-escalate situations. And she brought up art therapy, music therapy, and there's a crowd of us. And I said, isn't all that a bunch of hogwash? And everybody looked at me like, oh my God, I can't believe you said it. And I said, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I'd have thought that was crazy. But that's an issue that we've taken on as I passed the bill making Amazing Grace the official state hymn. But if you listen not only to the words Amazing Grace, but here you even segue into the discussion of Tupac. And I know you might think, what are you talking about Tupac for? Remember Tupac? Okay. But if you listen to his, I'm not just pointing at you. Okay. Let Lachelle here. Anyways, I get people look at me kind of crazy sometimes. My assistant, if I start playing The Office, he'll start crying, But if you hear the song, Dear Mama, and my mom died in December, but he talks about, he didn't shed a tear for his dad. Because his dad wasn't there, he found love in a gang. So the lyrics are telling us something. You're gonna find love somewhere. If you can't get it from your family or maybe even your spouse, I don't know. You know what I mean? Been happily married 34 years. Just full disclaimer. But what do you think about that? It's a powerful song.
Oh, absolutely.
That young man was brilliant.
And now that we're mamas, we can relate to that song that we probably heard 20-something years ago.
And she made a lot of bad choices.
Yeah.
It's and if I know there's a lot of folks probably Tupac, pull up YouTube and listen to Dear Mama by Tupac. And if you're a guy and you don't get a little touched, then something's wrong. Even Austin Maxwell would even be touched by that. Y'all know Austin, don't you? GOP chairman. And we always talk about him. He's a big, hardcore military guy. He's probably listening right now. Well, in the past few more minutes we've got, anything, Jolie, you want to hit on, Kathy, Lachelle?
I will just go ahead and say again, Rutherford Recovery Fest, September the 16th, 10 a.m. to 2. It is a family-friendly event. If you go to Rutherford Recovery Fest on Facebook, we do post. We post a lot of the communities surrounding as well. There's a Recovery Fest starting at the end of August, going all the way through October.
Yeah.
So anything that needs to be shared can be shared to that page. A lot of people see it.
Yeah. Well, thanks again to Chris Rowland, who won that bid. And then Mark Brassfield, Marty Lupp, and everyone that participated in that fundraising. That's $1,500 going to go to the Smyrna West Alternative School. Thank you, Kathy Ward, Jolie Shipley, Michelle Ricks. God bless y'all. Thanks for what you do. We'll see y'all next week.